रेडी। ये जो सेट है आपको SSC C ग्रेड टेस्ट 84 YouTube@100 के नाम से मिल जाएगा। और सबसे पहले आप लिखेंगे 100 पे, उसके बाद 80 पे लिखेंगे। स्टार्ट इट। Sir, before the house adjourned for lunch yesterday, I had started speaking on the Essential Commodities Amendment Bill. I have got here with me the bill as introduced. In the statement of objects and reasons, the government pointed out that in certain cases it might be necessary for them not to award punishment prescribed in the law as it exists at present, but to forfeit a part of the deposit. This relates to minor offences under the Essential Commodities Act. I can quite understand this, and generally, therefore, nobody would oppose this thing, but the question that I wish to raise in this connection before the House is the manner in which this act is being implemented by the government and also by the state governments. I mention the state governments because here is a measure which is sponsored by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and in regard to many aspects of which I believe the central government has concurrent jurisdiction, but much is left to the states. Our experience has been, especially in the state from which I come, namely West Bengal, that this act is not implemented properly by the state authorities because of various connections of certain people high up with the big business and others indulging in speculation, hoarding, and so on. The result has been that whatever should be done had not been done. The central government has got powers under this act to make rules, to give directions to the states, and to supervise the manner in which the particular measure is administered by the states. We found that much that should have been done was not done. What is the use of talking about punishment of the small fry? Certainly, if they are guilty, they have to be punished, and the smaller the fry, the minor should be the punishment. I agree there, but the point is that the act is not properly implemented. We should like to know from the government as to how many cases have been started under the Essential Commodities Act. We know that food grains had been hoarded, speculation had been indulged in, stocks had been removed from one state to another surreptitiously by unfair and illegal methods. These should have attracted the attention of the Essential Commodities Act. The act was passed in this parliament with a view to putting a check on speculative rise in prices. When it came to the question of practical implementation of this measure, we found that the government had failed. Now, government should say something about it. When government seeks to amend an act, it should tell us as to how the parent act, which is proposed to be amended, has been implemented. Is it the contention of the government that difficulty arises because this particular provision is not there in the act? Are government in trouble because they do not know how to deal with the smaller fries? Or is it because that those who are supposed to administer this measure at the state level, at the district level, have thought it fit to ignore it, have thought it fit to bypass it. If any measure of the central government was needed for controlling the prices of food grains and ensuring the supply of essential commodities to the community, it is the Essential Commodities Act. I would like the minister to say something on this. I know that he was not here at the time when we passed this measure, nor was he there when the Essential Commodities Act was bypassed by many state governments. In the past, we had drawn the attention of the minister to this problem, and that minister is now happily going to be the president of the Uttar Pradesh Congress Committee. But here, I would like to ask the minister who has stepped into his shoes as to what he is doing in order to see to the proper implementation of this act. How many prosecutions have taken place? The small people, of course, should be dealt with very mildly. I agree and I support the measure, but taking the law as it is today, without this amendment, it empowers government to deal very effectively so far as the provisions of the law go with the big traders, wholesalers and profiteers. I would like to know as to how they have dealt with them. How many are in jail today? How many have paid fine? How many have suffered imprisonment? How many licenses have been cancelled as a result of malpractices, corruption, profiteering, and so on, all of which are provided for under this bill. We are entitled to know. Take us into your confidence in regard to this matter. I say from whatever knowledge we have that very few have been prosecuted under this act. If it is so, it is not because our black market trade has suddenly become white market trade or those impious people have suddenly become virtuous with the succession in the office of the food minister by a new man. The next question that I would like to deal with is the paragraph in the President's address relating to the progress made in our economy, in our agricultural sector, in our industrial sector, in our foreign trade, etc. Sir, you were pleased to read out to us a very large list of the achievements of the Congress government during the last decade and the important targets which have been achieved during the last 10 years of our planned economy. You also mentioned the question of increase in food production, increase in the production of agricultural commodities, etc. Fortunately, sir, here we have in our midst the ex-deputy chairman of the Planning Commission, Sri V.T. Krishnamachari, who has addressed a number of meetings and seminars in New Delhi recently, drawing our attention to the weakness in our agricultural sector. If the press reports are correct, in one seminar he mentioned that even if all the targets of the 10th five-year plan are achieved, still at the end of the 10th five-year plan period, we may be facing a serious situation regarding the supply of agricultural commodities. He has also expressed the hope that we will be able to exceed the targets which have been fixed for the 10th five-year plan. ये 1000 प्लस वर्ड है और ये आपको SSC CND ग्रेड टेस्ट नंबर 84 YouTube@100 मिल जाएगा। अपलोड मैंने अभी नहीं किया, अपलोड जस्ट करूँगा जिस क्लास की, इसके बाद आप देख सकते हो। और स्पीड इसकी 100 की है, फ्लक्चुएशंस वही 60 वर्ड अपसाइड में है। 80 पे लिखेंगे। Start it. Sir, while speaking yesterday, I referred to the problem created for the Export Promotion Council by the quality of goods supplied, which lacked both imagination and integrity. Therefore, not only have standards to be laid down, but some help has also to be given by way of backing properly to all those people who would also like to ask the Honorable Minister to clarify as to how he is going to lay down the standard for the goods. Will the contract between the buyer and the seller be concluded first, and then the quality or standard will be decided? The question of price has to be settled, and we also know that the price varies according to the country that buys the article. I think the House rightly laid emphasis on the desirability of fixing some standard for goods for the home market and also for our imports. The standards for imports, I am told, are governed by other international import rules. Those also must be varying according to the country of import. In any case, unless there are some standards laid down for the sale of goods in the home market, there will be difficulty. There are people who are used to selling things different from what they had advertised. The thing advertised is something other than what is actually sold. So, unless our target traders are trained to respect integrity and some business morals, it is not possible for them suddenly to rise to the occasion and out of patriotic motives sell goods of the particular specified standard. I would also like to make a suggestion to the Honorable Minister and say that it is not enough to lay down the rules for the export quality control and inspection. It is very necessary now to advertise in the foreign countries that we have taken care of this aspect because of the bad name that we have acquired in the past on account of the business ways of some of the exporters. We have acquired a very bad name in some of the countries, and in order to counteract that, we have to undertake wide publicity in foreign countries to undo what has been done so far. There is one more question which I would like to ask the Honorable Minister so that he may clarify the doubt that may be in the minds of some honorable members. It is stated that the funds for the Export Promotion Council would be partly from the government and partly from funds paid by way of donation. I want to know whether the donors, if they are business people, would not be in a position to take advantage of the position and misuse this Export Promotion Council. Instead, I would suggest that heavy fees may be prescribed for the inspection of the goods, and if necessary, all the money that is required should come from the government and no money should be accepted by way of donations. I would also like the government to see that punishment is not so much in the form of fine, because it is well known that where money is got freely either through black marketing or by taking advantage of certain trade conditions, fine is no consideration at all. 10 or even 100 times the fine can be made good by the people who indulge in these malpractices. Therefore, it is not only enough to prescribe punishment for the persons who are found guilty under this act, but it is also necessary that we prescribe heavy punishment for the inspectors so as to leave no room for suspicion in the minds of the people. I would now like to refer to the question of co-option. I do not know why it has not occurred to the members in the opposition and those who doubted the need for co-option that the variety of goods itself will not make it possible for the council to have members on the council who would be conversant with the qualities of all types of goods. This council is really something on par with the UPSC in my opinion, and for every particular specialized item it would be necessary for this council to co-opt one or two experts belonging to that particular trade. I would, if I may, like to clarify one point in regard to the statement that fell from one of the members yesterday with regard to the deal we had with Poland and Russia over shoes. The deal was found defective because the shoes were different according to the changing fashions. This particular item has come in the report of the Public Accounts Committee. The deal was found defective because the foreigners who are used to machine-made goods expected goods of exactly the same standard as of machine-made goods. Our Indian shoes were made by hand, and all of them did not answer the same specifications. These shoes were not meant for fashionable ladies or for others, but they were really meant for the army. ये 80 की स्पीड है और 800 प्लस वर्ड है इसके अंदर. ये आपको SSC C D 84 YouTube@80 के नाम से मिल जाएगा. अब आपने जो भी अच्छी लिखी होगी इन दोनों में से वो टाइप करेंगे, 100 वाली और 80 वाली में से. अगर इनमें से कोई भी अच्छी नहीं लिखी तो आपने लिखनी है. मैं स्क्रीन कंटेंट बोल देता हूँ. स्टार्टेड. ये सीन कंटेंट है, ये आपको विद कॉमा नो कॉमा दोनों फाइल में मिल जाएगा. स्टार्टेड. Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, this is quite a simple bill which tries to regularize or rather bring up to date some of the rules regarding licensing, and for that purpose the definitions are sought to be changed. Now, it is quite obvious that when these definitions have been adopted, it will give a new type of work to the ministry, and it is in anticipation of this new type of work like telecommunication, television, etc., that these particular definitions are sought to be extended. It is therefore quite relevant to point out that the new responsibilities which the ministry is undertaking are the result of the changes in the definitions of the terms for the purpose of licensing could be effectively discharged only if the administrative setup is also suitably changed so as to make it possible for these new responsibilities to be adequately discharged. Sir, we know that the zonal system in our telegraph and postal departments still requires a lot of change, and if these new responsibilities are to be adequately discharged, it will be necessary to reorganize and to create some new zones. For example, a zone for Gujarat might now become necessary in view of the fact that the new state has come into being, and it is desirable that there is a special zone which looks after the needs and requirements of that particular area. Similarly, there may be other areas also where it may be necessary to create new zones so that administrative bottlenecks could be advised and new responsibilities could be effectively discharged. Still, more important than this reorganization of the administrative setup wherever necessary and desirable is the question of the efficient, loyal, and willing service of the employees. And in that connection, I am sorry to state that some of the aftermath of the general government employees strike still continues even in this department, which creates a certain amount of heartburning among the employees, and as has been shown through many examples cited by my honorable friend who spoke before me, there is a general impression that the administration of both the post and the telegraph service is deteriorating. I do not know how far it is because of the top-heavy nature of the administration, or how far it is because of the dissatisfaction among the employees over some of the policies that might be followed by government. I do not know what exactly is the reason, but the fact remains that the public is inconvenienced and the services are not as efficient as they should have been. I would therefore request the Honorable Minister to examine this question of reorganization as well as the question of satisfying the legitimate demands of the employees more sympathetically, not only because it is just and desirable that the administration should be properly reorganized, but it is also desirable that the employees should be fully satisfied and their legitimate demands should be adequately met, and also because of the fact that this particular department has a direct contact, almost day-to-day contract with the public, and therefore if this particular department does not function properly, efficiently, and to the satisfaction of the public at large, it would mean that the public would be inconvenienced also. This being the additional reason, I would request the Honorable Minister to see if it is possible to reinstate all the employees who are still not reinstated, and to see that the entire effect of the central government employees strike is erased, so that the workers may be in a position to work more enthusiastically and with greater satisfaction to provide these services, which are also so very important from the point of view of the convenience of the public. Not only that, but also important from the point of view of the rapid economic development in our country, which is the primary objective before us. It is well known that the post and telegraph services play a very important role in the economic development of a country. If the post and telegraph services are efficient to that extent, economic development becomes easier. If they are not efficient, it becomes difficult for the people to carry on their day-to-day activity and to maintain their contracts. In view of all these various considerations, and especially in view of the fact that with this bill, the Honorable Minister is seeking to enlarge some of the functions of the ministry, I would request him to take these various points into consideration and see what he could do in the matter. Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, I wish to lend my support to this bill. The bill is a very simple one and there is no need for any controversy or exchange of hot words regarding the matter. As you will see from the statement of objects and reasons, this bill is being brought forward because of the fact that it has become necessary to license the possession and working of television apparatus for any purpose whatsoever. 840 वर्ड है और ये आपको विद कोमा नो कोमा दोनों फाइल मिल जाएगी। सोर्स इसका केसी है और नंबर इसका 205 है। टाइप करेंगे